Hello everybody and welcome back to Games, Life, and Horror. It is the season finale. Today we're going to do our final rankings of the 10 stories and monsters that we have covered. And then we are going to talk about Season 2 and what's going to happen then, and when I'm going to do Season 2, and how the schedule is going to change a bit, because it is going to change a bit. But anyways, hope you all enjoy this final episode of Season 1. I'll see you all soon. I almost did my outro, I don't know why. Alright, so first we're going to get into what's going to happen in Season 2. So for Season 2, we're going to let you guys pick on some things. You guys will decide on who we cover. I'll have polls at the end of each video, or you could just vote whenever you want, where you get to decide what stories you want me to cover, whether it is a creepypasta or a horror movie or even an old urban legend or even a horror game. So you'll get to vote on what happens, and instead of Games, Life, and Horror every day, we're going to do it every 2 days. We'll have Games, Life, and Horror, then a different horror-related video, and then Games, Life, and Horror, and it's just on and on and on. So that's part of it. We're also going to do more in-depth covering of the stories that we've talked about, so the videos might be a little bit longer, so we can get a bigger sense of creepiness into the show. We're also probably going to have more episodes than just 11 or 10. I haven't decided yet. It really depends on my time, schedule and stuff like that. We're going to do the first episode of Season 2 in at least 2 weeks and at most a month. I'm doing this so I have more time to edit these videos so they aren't rushed. Right when I'm done with one episode, I work straight on the next one. And it's very tiring to me, so I don't really want to do that, which is why I'm going to take a little bit of a break, which is why I ended the season right now. We're going to have a new intro also. We're also going to focus on less creepypasta and more around all horror. So it could be a movie, a true event, an urban legend, or even a nursery rhyme like The Crooked Man. But now that all the news on Season 2 was covered, it's time for the final rankings of the stories that we have covered in this show. Enjoy. So at our worst story, or number 10, we have Jeff the Killer, who we've given a 3 out of 30 for his rating. Yeah, that's right, the story is that bad. It's so unbearable, unoriginal, it's so hard to even read the story without laughing. In fact, it's impossible to read it without laughing. I really didn't want to cover him, but the polls were, favorable of me covering him, so it was of course Jeff's time. But that doesn't mean I have to like the story. In fact, I hate this story so much that I sought therapy after reading it, and so much that I got the number 10 spot, because that's as much deserving of a rating that he gets. It's horrible. Don't read the story. It won't give you nightmares. Well, I mean, it will give you nightmares because of how bad it is, but just don't read it. It's more scary and writing than it is the actual story. And at number 9, we have sonic.exe coming in at a 6 out of 30. Now, you might think I'm crazy when I say that sonic.exe is twice the story Jeff the Killer is. Until you see the score. Both of these stories are so unrealistic and just painful to read. This story has Jason X quality of badness. It's a haunted game disc where a toy plushie kills 2 people. What? At our number 8 spot, we have Laughing Jack at a 10 out of 30. Hey, that's cheating! You changed his score? Yeah, I changed the score. I was too generous to Jack in the episode that I covered him, I know. So I didn't want to give him a 12 out of 30 because it's not twice as good as sonic.exe. it's still a bad story. Now don't get me wrong, Laughing Jack is terrifying, but the overuse of gore, the forgettable characters, and the candy stuffing, I had to change the score. Sorry, Jack, but your story sucks. At our number 7, we have Tiki Toby. Now listen, I like this story, but it's not the best, so he has an average score on this. I feel like the Slender Man really carried the creepiness on the story, which is really sad when you realize that the main character, who's supposed to be super creepy, is less creepy than the supporting character of the story. That really hit hard on this story, which is why his story isn't that good. And the story has many issues with it, but it also has many great parts about it. Like, Tiki Toby looks very creepy, of course, like most creepypasta killers. But then there's the Slender Man part where the fact that he really carried the load on this, like he does with a lot of stories. So that's why I gave Toby a lower score. With number 6, we have Eyeless Jack with a 17.5 out of 30. Alright, now I'm really cheating. Since when do we put decimals in our scores? Now listen, the creepiness is what brought this story to a higher rating. If creepiness wasn't a rating for some reason, because it's a horror show, it would probably be at like a 9 or a 10. But this story was really creepy. Eyeless Jack carried this story. This was scary, but very unbelievable, and a lot of parts you just know that this story isn't true, which is why I lowered his score. It would be a really good story if it was just more believable, instead of losing your kidney for an unknown reason. Like, what? At number 5, we have Pokemon Lavender Town Syndrome at an 18 out of 30. The story is just good. I don't know what else to say. There's not really a story behind this, so it's hard to really say anything. So, moving on. For number 4, we have Abandoned by Disney at a 22 out of 30. Now, the story is great, but the ending gets really corny. A Mickey Mouse costume stands up and rips his head off, showing yellow chunky blood. That's not really creepy, that's just disgusting. And then the last door says abandoned by God. I mean, that happens a lot in stories, so I don't really like it that much. It really lowered the score a lot. It probably would be number 1 or number 2 if it didn't have such a weird ending. Now at our number 3 spot, we have The Rake with a 24 out of 30. Now, I was struggling if I was going to put The Rake higher or if I really wanted to change his original rating, as he is a great creepypasta character. He is terrifying and he has no weird fan fiction about him. At least not that I know of. But my second time looking at The Rake, I thought maybe it wasn't that good. Maybe I was a little overreacting when I said he was such a great character. He was in second place, and at one place he was first, but he moved all the way down to third because, I mean, I came to my sense. He's not the best creepypasta character. For our number 2 spot, we have Ben Drowned for a 25 out of 30. Yeah, he's all the way at second place. I get that he's a little bit overrated in some parts, but I really enjoyed this story, and this show is based off of my opinion, so he's at number 2. It's not the creepiest story, but he is sure one of the best gaming creepypastas out there. In fact, one of the only good gaming creepypastas out there. There's not a lot of good ones. I mean, just look back at sonic.exe. And for our number 1 spot, it is... I mean, you guys should already know this because it's the last one we have to do. The best story or creature we've covered so far is... The Slender Man. At a 26 out of 30. Yep, it's the tall man himself. Now, yes, Slender Man is overrated and really got ruined by the internet, but I don't let that change my opinion. The dude is terrifying, and there is no real story about him, just descriptions of what he is. It's just him. So that really helps because you don't have a story that ruins the character like with Eyeless and Laughing Jack and Jeff the Killer and every character. So that is why I've picked the Slender Man at number 1, because it's really just him. He gets to shine. It's all about him. Which, I mean, you can't really complain a bunch about one character. So it's really hard to complain about the Slender Man. So that ends this off, I guess. I mean, if you read the description or looked or listened to me talking about what's going to happen in Season 2, then, well, you know when the next episode's going to be. It's going to be in about 2 weeks to a month, because I'm taking a little bit of a break from Games, Life, and Horror. I'm going to make different horror videos. I'm going to do movie reviews, stuff like that, and yeah. I'm going to do more ranking videos like I did in this one. And if y'all enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Let's get my channel to 200 subscribers.